In this press conference, I wish to speak on the PLP's commitment to end the travel visa. For the last 8 months or so, Bahamian and visitors to the Bahamas have been required to pay for a travel visa to travel to or within the Bahamas. We were told that this travel visa was necessary. That is and was not true. It was and it remains entirely possible to require a negative PCR test without a travel visa, as so many countries in our Caribbean region has shown. We were told that there was no time to go through the usual procurement process with its safeguards against corrupt practices to choose a private digital company. Again, this is not true. The government had months ahead of the November reopening of our borders, our second reopening after the failure of the July reopening, to make a plan. They simply did not do so. We are told that this travel visa covers costs such as the 5th-day antigen tests. That is not true either. In a very large number of cases, travelers who stay fewer than 5 days still pay the same for the visa. A substantial percentage of travelers required to take that test don't, in fact, take the test. And this is according to the government's own figures. And fully vaccinated passengers are told on the 5th day that their travel visa does not cover the cost of this test. This is a policy that was never announced publicly, by the way, nor has that information been shared with those purchasing the travel visa. So, where has all that money gone? One place that we know it is not is in the National Treasury. It was not deposited to the Consolidated Fund. We believe as much as $20 million have been collected during this current fiscal year. What is required now is a full, audited, up-to-date accounting of monies in and monies out so that we can follow the money. Show us the receipts, as they say. The Ministry of Tourism and the Minister of Tourism is now claiming that it has access to the private bank account in which this money is kept. You know, when I pay my passport fee, vehicle registration, real property tax, police character certificate, or even customs duty online, these funds do not go into a private bank account, and that is because it's public revenue. The government has not satisfactorily answered questions about why an arrangement with this company was structured this way. There are serious questions, too, about the legality of this arrangement. More fundamentally, we don't need a travel visa. We don't need a new tax, because the travel visa is functioning as a tax on the Bahamian people. Bahamians don't need to pay for a travel visa or fee to enter the United States, but they are required to pay a fee to return to their country of birth. And this is ridiculous. It makes no sense. I can tell you, I traveled in the month of May to the US. Seamlessly, I proved to the US officials at the airline counter that I was negative, but on returning, I had to pay for the privilege of re-entering my own country. That cannot be right. This is hurting Bahamian businesses that require travel between our islands. It is preventing, by cost, members from traveling, family members from traveling to see one another. Bottom line, it's bad for our economy. The travel visa is actually functioning as a transfer of wealth from the people to a company handpicked by the FNM, a company in which their campaign coordinator is a director and shareholder. the PLP will end the travel visa. It is entirely possible to maintain whatever testing and insurance requirements make sense without a travel visa. The PLP is dedicated to lightening the load and burden on the Bahamian people. Our economic plan contains multiple proposals intended to provide immediate relief. It has been such a terrible time for so many Bahamians. Governments across the world are looking for ways to cut regressive taxes and fees to stimulate the economy, to help people get back on their feet, but not this F&M government, which seems truly disconnected from the pain that their policies cause to ordinary persons. On a final but very important note, we unfortunately believe that the travel visa is just the tip of the iceberg. The same people who came to government promising transparency are currently hiding the details of hundreds of millions in pandemic spending, improperly using the emergency orders as a shield from public scrutiny. And I can tell you, in my considered legal opinion, there is a duty to disclose that they have failed to meet. A government that was confident it had spent the people's money wisely and properly would not run and hide from scrutiny. You would welcome it. That they hid behind the flimsiest of legal rationales to continue to avoid telling us what has been spent and with whom is in itself very revealing. Now let me add this. The Freedom of Information Act, passed by the PLP government, brought into force by the PLP government, for which this government had 4 years to bring into force, would certainly have made available to you in the media the ability to demand these answers. As proper journalists, no doubt, it is of concern to you why this arrangement was put in place, and it is of interest to you to follow the money.
Just for clarification, the main reason that the PLP wants the travel visa to end, is it because of the cost of it and the burden on the Bahamian people, or because there's still no real clarity as to where the money is going?
Well, the starting point to the philosophy of the PLP is to lift burdens off the people where far as possible. And we speak about drying the tear from every eye. Well, clearly, heaping regressive taxation upon people who are hurting, businesses having been closed by the competent authority, cannot be benefiting them. So to remove this tax that was imposed is a primary goal. Accountability is a secondary goal, which means you must answer for your deeds. That is the reality. So the commitment is, one, to alleviate the burden on the people as the primary goal, but make no mistake about it, the persons involved will be held accountable. It is of some note, you can pay all the bills online with the government encountering no private company. You can pay your customs duties. What is the explanation for this singular imposition of a contract that would benefit a private company when the government already has its portal set up?
You said that you believe the government has collected about $20 million or generated $20 million in revenue. They're saying $9.8 million. Where do you think the difference is?
Well, let me start in this fashion. The fact that we're having this conversation shows that they aren't accountable and transparent. Because transparency would mean that it could all be tracked. You see, the beauty of things going into the consolidated fund is it's the government's bank account. The beauty of the interaction there is the Auditor General has a duty to audit and does audit. The fact that you have a dispute over 20 and 9 really demonstrates what the problem is. And I understand that they're making no steps to address it. As simply as this is a no-bid circumstance, the obligation on the competent authority is to file a report, table a report that shows how much money came in and why you didn't go out to tender in the ordinary procurement process.
You say this is the tip of the iceberg. Do you have some evidence, some other facts that you can share with us, perhaps?
Well, they have not tendered and tabled any information of hundreds of millions of dollars that they admit was spent during this process. So the starting point is, if you are accountable to me and there are processes and you spend hundreds of millions of dollars of my money, you must account. The fact that you keep running from accounting for it is why I can reasonably suspect you. And I would think that's very powerful. If the Bahamian public know that you pay 75% of this income to a private company while you had your public portal set up, why should they believe you in anything else? That is the beauty of accountability and transparency. It protects you.
I'm not trying to say tit for tat, but should the congressional body win the government and this is still not resolved, do you see it going to court similar to what the national media trying to prove as the party members who are not doing things properly?
Well, as I say, the starting point is, on a change of government, the tax will be taken off the people. Then you embark on an investigation of what has happened. There are procurement rules. And firstly, somebody will have to explain why was it necessary to outsource this. All of these things need to be explained. So, yes, there will be investigations because you have to account for people's money. These chaps aren't accounting for the people's money. So any person who takes over, anytime a new trustee is appointed, the first job of an incoming trustee is to check the trust fund, to find out what has happened to it, and if you have to take steps to bring in trust funds that are not where they should be, that's then the next duty of trustees. The PLP will take very seriously its duty as the trustees of the people's money, which should end up in the consolidated fund at all times.
Thank you much, everybody.